Go!
Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. Alleged enforced disappearance. Apologize to Amnesty International. Ipob's lawyer tells DSS. Alleged enforced disappearance. Apologize to Amnesty International. Ipob's lawyer tells DSS. To my dear listeners, from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. Lead counsel to Nnamdi Kanu. Detained. Leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Ipob, Sir Ifeanyi Ejiofor, on Friday insisted that the global human rights watchdog, Amnesty International, was right in its summation that the Department of State Services is engaging in alleged forceful disappearance of innocent Nigerians. Amnesty International is impeccably correct and deserves an apology from the DSS, Ejiofor said in a statement. Ejiofor was reacting against the backdrop of the press statement credited to the spokesperson of DSS, Mr. Peter Afunaya, in relation to the issue of the enforced disappearance of innocent Nigerians raised by Amnesty International. I initially treated the obvious misinformation from the DSS emanating from their spokesperson as part of social media contrives until I watched the video clip last night. A careful look at Mr. Lafunayan's facial expression as he was busy vainly trying to distort fact depict that of a drowning man struggling to survive and strenuously conjecturing blatant lies to defend the uncivil activities of a supposed democratic institution like the DSS. If one may ask, if the operatives of the DSS style of operation is not by enforcing forceful disappearance, kidnapping, and abduction of innocent citizens at the wee hours of the night, what other styles permissible under the law have they been adopting in their adoptions? Ejiofor adopting in their operations, Ejiofor queried. The Ipob lawyer explained that the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance (ICPED) is an international human rights instrument by the United Nations intended to prevent forced disappearance, which as defined in international law is part of the crime against humanity. This convention, he said, was adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations in its Resolution 47-133 and came into force on 23rd December 2010. Nigeria is a state party to the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance. Is the State Security Service conscious of this convention in the discharge of its statutory mandate? The answer is capital no. Ejiofor declared. Ejiofor reminded Mr. Afunaya that his office has countless number of judgments and orders from court of competent jurisdiction, compelling the DSS to produce those they abducted at the wee hours of the night and release them unconditionally. The list is endless. Mr. Afunaya should recall that on the 6th day of June 2021, the operatives of the DSS led a bloody onslaught in my peaceful home in Oraifite, and during their murderous assault, the invaders gruesomely murdered my personal assistant, dumped his lifeless body inside the boot of my car, zoomed off with his corpse, which they later set ablaze inside my car around Uneni town in Anambra State. What a crime against humanity. Can this dastardly act be defended under any law, Mr. Afunaya? During the same unprovoked murderous attack on my peaceful home, 3 of my domestic staff were abducted by the soulless operatives of the DSS in conjunction with their criminal counterparts in security uniforms. These persons, namely Mr. Felix Okonkwo, driver, Mr. Lokafor Lawrence Ugochukwu, gardener, and Ikenna Chibuike steward, are still being held in the detention facility of the DSS here in Abuja since the 6th day of June 2021 to date. The same office from where Mr. Funaya is dishing out falsehood, the Ipob lawyer said. He wondered what other term could be used to describe this type of operation, if not forceful kidnapping and enforced disappearance of innocent Nigerian citizens. More worrisome, Ejiofor said, was that after being served with judgment, order of court and competent jurisdiction, directing for the immediate release of the 3 domestic staff abducted from my residence, the DSS is still manifestly in contempt of the court judgment orders. So my dear listeners, now I've come to the end of our today's news.